Now, a Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Son.
Hello, everybody. Expanding severe thunderstorm warnings across northwest Minnesota. A thunderstorm watch just issued. We'll get you caught up with the latest right now. You're watching Hutch's weather right here, and I appreciate you dropping a line, letting me know what you're watching, where you're watching from. A severe thunderstorm watch has been issued. Active severe thunderstorm warnings taking place right now as storms begin to fire. Here's a look at the latest radar. The yellow counties you see here from eastern parts of North Dakota into northwest Minnesota, including Lakes Country, under a severe thunderstorm watch. And then diving in a little bit closer, the Thief River Falls area north of you in parts of Marshall County, a couple of thunderstorm cells have developed here moving over the Highway 59 corridor, have become severe. This does include the Grigla area, includes areas just south of Middle River. These storms generally capable of some significant hail, 1.25 inch in diameter, 60-mile-per-hour gusts possible from these storms. Here's a look at the latest movement as estimated by the National Weather Service Office. 40-mile-per-hour at easterly trek. These storms north of the Thief River area and are working their way off to the east. Thanks, Sandra, for watching. Cheryl, the same thing goes to you. The main threat from these early stage storms right now appears to be hail as we take you in. Right now, that over quarter-inch size hail possible right over the Holt area right now. Couple of notches in the storm, and they're forming in an environment that is providing just a little bit of shear or spin to the atmosphere. Here is a look at some areas impacted by this first wave of hail. The hail core located over Holt, moving off to the east-northeast. Again, moving off to the east-northeast at about 40 miles per hour. We'll put that in at 42, just to give a little bit of a additional amount of time for preparation for you, because of maybe a delay in the broadcast here. Gatsky in 29 minutes from now. It is now 5:53, 29 minutes, or as we approach, say, 6:22, those storms will be making their way in towards your area. Grigla on towards 36 minutes. This first wave of storms will be near you, and that's wave one. There are two strong storms in this cluster. Let's go ahead and measure out the second one, also moving in a similar pattern. So as we take a look at the movement of this storm with the pink near it, this one capable of larger size hail as well. Again, we'll pop in a 42 for the miles per hour. This one will be generally in the same area just a couple of minutes later. This one is going to head over Holt. You've got one over you now, and this one will be there in less than, say, 8 minutes. So these scans take about 6 minutes to complete. So even though I'm telling you this now, the storm is moving while we're speaking. So let's go with 5 to 8 minutes. The second wave on hail core will be making its way right over the Holt area. If you have severe weather to report, we'd appreciate you taking and measuring when it's safe to do so. I'll look at the hail size diameter of the largest stone that you find. Here is a look at the spin in the storm as we take a look for reds and greens next to each other. And again, I'm not seeing a lot of, we got a tornado warning now. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. That has been issued for the War Road area and points south. Again, let me see, I don't know why the storm relative velocity is not showing up much all the way out there, out far away from the radar. We'll go back to the reflectivity. We're going to look at the Roseau County storm here now. There has been a tornado warning issued. So if you are in eastern Roseau County, say in that area not far from Roosevelt on Highway 11 and south of War Road, this is a storm prompting the tornado warning. We'll go ahead and take a look at what we have. This is a radar-indicated tornado. It could be producing 1.25-inch diameter hail. And the National Weather Service has the track of movement. You see the latest scan just coming in there as we speak. It's located near Salo, moving to the east at 30 miles per hour. A tornado and half-dollar sized hail is possible from this storm. So I'm going to pop up a note here, as I oftentimes do in a tornado warning, but let's go ahead and time this out for you folks in the path of this storm here as it's moving east. 2-inch diameter hail or better now estimated as it's increasing in strength, even from that last update from the Weather Service office. We're going to pop the speed up to 35 miles per hour to account for any delay in your receiving of this transmission. Roosevelt in about 35 minutes, that storm will be near you. Williams by 45 minutes, and there's your current time. So again, these storms dangerous, very large hail, and a chance for a tornado in southeast and eastern portions of the Roseau County area. This is where the hail core is. Now let's see if I can get a better look from the radar to see what we have with regards to spin in the storm. And again, this is a long ways from the radar, so likely the radar is looking at what is going on way up high in the storm, and I'm just not able to see much with regards to that. Let's see if this one goes out that far. Simply not able to see much with regards to the velocity. Let's see if I can look at one more product. Let's go to this one. That's a little ways out. There we go. So if you are in this area here near Salo, this storm is moving in that general direction of Roosevelt, moving in the general direction of Williams right now, east at 35 miles per hour. The tornado warning does not mean a tornado is on the ground, but it does mean that there's a very dangerous storm that's moving to the east that's showing tight rotation and could produce a tornado at any time. Bonnie, thank you for sharing and for tagging this video. I am going to log into another platform here to make sure that folks that are not here know that we're covering the tornado warning live, and anybody here who has the ability to do so, I appreciate you sharing the word that Hutch is out there delivering the message here. An active severe thunderstorm warning has also now been issued for the southern flank of this storm, far southeastern Roseau County, northern Lake of the Woods County. That's for this cell here, capable of 1-inch hail, moving off to the east-northeast at about 35 miles per hour as well. So let's take a look here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up on the window here, and I am going to see if I can copy this link here. Very good. So sorry about the delay here while I try to create an update for those folks who may not be able to see this right now or not know that we're broadcasting here. So thank you for bearing with me. Very, very kind of you to do so. Okay, let's go ahead and post this. And let's go tornado warning. Here we go. Okay, so that's just to get the message out there. If you're in Roseau County, again, the lowest floor of a sturdy structure is the safest place to be. The lowest floor of a sturdy structure, the basements are always best. They offer more protection than other floors in the home, and get to an interior room and put as many walls between you and that tornadic storm as you can. Make sure, kids, if you happen to be home alone, parents might not be home yet, that's okay. You want to get into a sturdy structure, and that would be getting out of things like mobile homes, manufactured homes, and get to something that's more sturdy and be a home that's attached to the foundation. And again, if it has a basement, that's best, because tornadoes can pick up debris and throw them through the air at great velocity, and you don't want to be hit by that. Your home could be hit by that. Cars can be hit by that. So get out of objects like vehicles, get out of objects like campers and RVs, and get into that sturdy structure. Get to the basement if you have one. If not, get to the lowest floor. That's okay. No windows, though. Try to get to that interior room. Do you know you have a hallway in your house? If you have a hallway without windows, that's best. And maybe even a closet is a great place. And maybe you and your family have even had that conversation about where you can go to seek shelter from storms like this. The areas of eastern Marshall County, Minnesota, including Grigla, have a storm system working its way through. Let me turn this back to the reflectivity. You can see all of the little pink cores here, indicative of some sizable hail potential from these cells that are working their way. And if we loop this over the last little bit, you'll see that we get one cell moving and another one forming and moving over the same spot. And now we got more starting to form. So these are doing something called training. And those storms are all individually forming in an updraft in this area here, near and north of Thief River Falls. We did this moments ago, but let's take a quick peek from the Minnesota DOT cam in this area. I know we got one in Thief River Falls. I'm going to take you there. We'll look north and see what we can see as we look to the north. So here we go. And again, tornado warning, Roseau County. Let's go to that storm first. Let's see if I've got a camera. I got one near Roosevelt. I got one on the Salo, in the Salo area. And as you take a look at this, you're seeing wet roads. Here we go. We could see some dark skies and some low clouds in the area as we look off to the east. We can't see anything clear above the trees here. And this dark presence over the sky, meaning that there's probably a lot of rain in that system as well as it's making its way through. Don't think we're going to see much in that general direction, but that's one view of the storm from near War Road and the Salo area. Now, as we look out from Roosevelt and see, boy, this is, again, you got some lower clouds here, not necessarily threatening or anything of that nature. And as we look around, again, we're not seeing much but the road and traffic stuff going on at the roadside. Let's look at the storm that's out here. I've got a camera that's in and around Thief River Falls and just to the north. Let's see if we can see anything on to the north side of the city there. Again, a very dark sky is taking place right here. This is a deluge of very heavy precipitation associated with this storm. Where you see this rain coming down, that mass of cooled air hits the ground and it surges out in other directions. That's a rain foot on that side. So there could be some extremely gusty winds. This is likely north on Highway 59, north of Thief River Falls, looking north into the teeth of that storm that is on 59. You can see it's crossing over. And as I take you back to the radar here just right now, you'll be able to see north of Thief River. Here is a look at what you were looking into on that camera view. And that's right into the throat of this storm right here. So a lot of very heavy rain falling from that particular cell right now as it's working its way in the general direction of Grigla. So this storm here has some heavy rain and the heaviest core of precipitation moving off to the east. This one's moving at a pretty good clip. I'm going to put it at close to 40 miles per hour, 42 miles per hour, and it has it moving near Grigla in about 39 minutes. Your time now 6:02. So 6:40, that core of the storm will be making its way towards you. And keep in mind that, again, these storms are forming in an environment with a lot of energy to make very large hail. Kelly, thank you for letting us know you're good there. Let me know where you're watching from. I sure appreciate you getting back to us, telling us what you're seeing. Now let's go look up at that tornado warned storm again and get some people some timings on that one as it moves off to the east again. The rotating part of the storm is now right over here, and it's making its way in this general easterly direction, east-southeasterly. It's moving, and we'll put 35 on there. I think it said 35 miles per hour when we last checked, putting it near Williams in 36 minutes. A closer look at this is showing Grayston in the path of that storm as well. So if you're anywhere near this storm, including War Road and points to the south of you, is where it's really going to be impacting. That storm system is very dangerous, rotating tightly. It's kind of merging with the second cell that's down here off to the left of Hutch's hand here. That second cell is prompting a warning as well. That one mainly in rural parts of the county at this hour. So Roosevelt, I'd say War Road, the Highway 11 corridor and points south have the greatest chance at seeing that tornado. If you're looking at where that might be, the best chance of that tornado is going to be right here next to that hail core, right here where there's a little bite taken out of the storm. There's some interaction with this storm to the south and east starting to work with that storm, and it'll be something worth watching here. If I look at the spin in this storm, it's very hard to see from this far away for the radar anything that's on the low side of the cloud. So any spin we'd be seeing, because the radar beam goes up at a height, would be elevated. The one thing I am seeing here is 2-inch potential for some hail with this storm. Let's take a look at the latest measurement there. Moving east at 35 miles per hour or so, there is a 100% risk of severe hail, or a 90% risk of severe hail, and 2.25 inch diameter hail. That's up from the 1.25. So the hail core in that system likely intensifying. Watching from Nadawash, Cheryl, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Thank you, Jason, so very much. Going out and heading to do some spotting. Appreciate all of you folks that have taken that, David, training to know what you're looking for. We need your help and we need your reports to pass along the information. And speaking of which, I'm looking on the National Weather Service site. This watch has been issued, by the way, in all of these areas shaded in yellow until midnight. Most of the models showed a lot of the activity being out of central parts of North Dakota by the time we get to 10 o'clock. Notice this line that we have here. There is a chance for some storm development as we go back into North Dakota. There is a watch extended into North Dakota for this reason. These storms are expected to fire on this line right here. Once that line gets by you, the risk really dramatically will be decreasing. So places like Valley City, places like Western Grand Forks County, places like Cooperstown, you're going to be out of the risk very quickly compared to your neighbors off to the east. Now, the risk from these storms, as we talked about a little bit earlier in the last cut in, all modes of severe weather. We got a new warning now for a storm that's formed just in the last few scans north of War Road, and this is for the Big Lake. So anybody out on the Big Lake, now at areas near War Road and points north, a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for you. Let's go ahead and read that and make sure that if you have anybody out on the lake, you let them know they got one nasty storm on line of storms heading their way. From the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Grand Forks, this movement is to the east at 30 miles per hour. This storm is located near the Arneson area at this particular time. You can expect 60 mile per hour wind moving onto the lake, and $50 sized hail, 1.25 inch hail. So again, this is mainly going to be impacting areas on the lake itself, moving out over the lake as we speak. So this one is right near the shores, not far from, and just to the north of the War Road area, not far from Middleborough, and we'll be heading out over the big waters of the lake. So a lake is not a good place to be with that as we take a look at the movement. This storm too, just forming over the last couple scans, but notice it's kind of has this curve or movement more to the northerly direction as well. And that's why the Weather Service has issued that warning for the northern portions of the big Lake of the Woods as well. Look at the hail core starting to intensify or continuing to intensify here as we look at the tornado warned storm. This one here showing this V notch that we see on the front side of the storm. Hail potential, and likely there is that other cell that's working its way through off to the south and to the east. Let's take a look. This looks a little suspect to Hutch here. I'm losing some radar data. This is, that's from Dryden. That's why. I'm looking at a different radar. That one cutting off for Thief River Falls. I'm not able to see that area. Let me turn back to a different radar site here. There we go. Okay, so here's what we have going on. The storm that's working its way in the general direction of Williams right now. I want to look at the spin and see if I can see any kind of indication as to the latest location of the rotation. If you're in the warned area, please be seeking shelter in that interior room. Stay away from windows and get yourself to the lowest floor possible. Get out of things like mobile homes. If you're on the big lake, you don't want to be in your camper when these windy thunderstorms develop tonight. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go to just a regular storm velocity. And we're seeing some greens next to reds. It's still evident on this south side here. So the very south side of this warning, where some of the tightest rotation would be at this particular time. And from time to time, this hail core with it has pulsed up upwards of 1 to 2 inches in diameter. So keep that in mind. Over 1 inch diameter hail will be possible from that severe thunderstorm. So tornado warning in effect for Roseau County. It does sneak into the central regions of the Lake of the Woods County area just a little bit. There is a severe thunderstorm warning into Williams for your area of the Highway 11 corridor near Badette. So that entire area under the risk of some nasty thunderstorm winds and very sizable hail. Let's take a look at that DOT camera information as well. Comes in very handy, even though these storms are sometimes out of sight of some of these cameras, because the intention of these cameras is road surface and winter weather stuff, but they can be a nice idea. Lake of the Woods County area, a lot of storms starting to fire up, seeing mostly hail potential, but a report of a funnel cloud south of Roseau. So there was a report of a funnel cloud south of Roseau when the storm was there. That storm now moving out towards southern Roseau County. We're talking not far from Pencer, as I would see it on the latest view. Here's a look at that view from the Roosevelt area. Let me pop that up here. Some of these, again, are pointed more at the road than they are going to be able to help us see the sky. So the Pencer view there, not helping me too much. Let me see if I can see anything at all from more of a southern trajectory here from Badette. A lot of trees in that country. We're starting to see some lower clouds starting to drift into that area, not far from the Badette area, north of Carp and Fonts off to the east of you. So those areas are all in the track of this storm, but the tornado warned part of it is mainly in Roseau County right now. Where we were seeing some evidence of very strong thunderstorm activity with very heavy rain was looking to the north of this area. This is Thief River Falls on 59 into Marshall County. And that storm has since moved off just a little bit to the east, with more storms forming in and around your area in Thief River Falls. The very heavy rain producing cell that we saw right here on this was over the trees moments ago, and that has shifted off to the east now as it moves into the Grigla area of eastern Marshall County. So that's what we're seeing from the DOT sites there. Not easily identifiable. I'll look from Gatsky and see if we can, well, there's certainly rain on the road surface there. Rain on the road side and wet roads, but I'm not seeing much. Oh, there's the cloud. There's the storm. So as we look from Gatsky on Highway 89 here, Minnesota 89. And what you're looking at here is a rain-free base on this part of the storm. And out here, some very heavy and torrential rain making its way. And that would be on the eastern sides of Marshall County, Minnesota. So that's a look at what we have going on right now with regards to the latest radar. Storms. There is a watch that does include much of our area out here in west central Minnesota and Lakes area, as well as the Red River Valley counties and Cheyenne River Valley counties of North Dakota. So there is a watch in effect. This is till very late tonight around the midnight hour. What we can say is there is a lot of hot air in the southern part and a lot of very humid air. Dew points are in the 70s. Any storms that form in this area, if they form, that's the big question. If they form down south, they could become violent fairly quickly because of all that sticky air that's in place. The problem is we don't see a lot of a risk here of seeing some of these storms become forming in the Southern Valley because the air above us is pretty hot. So we have what's called a cap, and those storms are having a hard time punching through that particular cap. So I am now looking through some content here and looking at my other channels here to see if I do have any information coming in. That is appreciated. And again, I'm watching for my Facebook page and notes there and any other information that's coming in. So there's some sizable hail from these storms, apparently over an inch in diameter being reported. Let me turn on my storm reports for you in real time. They come in and show up right here on my map so that you can see them. We'll turn on only the last 6 hours of reports here in our area as we take a look. So the hail reports are coming in. This hail storm here north of Thief River, radar estimates showing upwards of 2 inches in diameter. Now, that's not always accurate with what reaches the ground, but that is what the radar is seeing aloft. So here's a look at the reflectivity. Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for this pink core right here, making its way across the Highway 59 corridor. From Thief River, we're looking off in this general direction. That heavy rain shaft moved off this way. See this little bite taken out of the storm on the backside? If there's rotation, it would be on this part of the storm the way it looks to Hutch. This is moving off to the east-northeast in the line of this line drawn here. That's the trajectory of the storm's movement. And I can analyze where that hail core is heading. If you are in Grigla, if you are in these areas, it's moving at a clip pretty quick. We're going to put it at about 40 miles per hour, moving off to the east. Grigla in about 33 minutes. So that'll be about 6:45 or so. The hail core will be pushing into the Grigla area. So be prepared for a strong thunderstorm. Very gusty wind also possible from these cells as they form tonight. Tornado warning does remain in effect. The tornado warning is a radar indicated tornado. There's not been confirmation of that at this particular time. A funnel has been sighted, and that is one dangerous storm that is working its way through eastern parts of Roseau County right now. Whoops. Apologize. I'm trying to get the whole radar to move over here. Radar indicated tornado. Over 1 inch diameter hail is likely from this storm. And I believe it's been reported by observers on this storm as well. So keep that in mind. So War Road, Roseau, near Roseau, the Roseau area, the storm is out of your area. It's moving into rural parts of eastern Roseau County. That's where the tornado warning is. And this one's getting ready to move into northern portions, the far northern and central portions of Lake of the Woods County. So keep that in mind. In Lake of the Woods County, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for you in Williams. So that's what the orange box is. Red box, tornado warning. That tornado warning is in effect for the next 15 minutes. So that expires here as we cross into around 6:30. That's when that tornado warning is set to expire. Okay, strong line of thunderstorms forming upwind from you folks in the Red Lakes area. Keep your eyes on the skies tonight. Anywhere in the watch area until midnight tonight, any storms that form could quickly become volatile to severe. If you do have severe weather to report, I'd love to have you share that with me right here. If you have a photo of the hail when it's safe to do so, if you have anything like that, let me know. Gary, not trying to give anybody nightmares at all. It's mainly just informing people about the storms where the worst ones are. And you look at this line of storms from Lake of the Woods straight down to eastern Marshall County, Minnesota. And these are the only ones that have formed. And these storms are individually quite small. So even though it looks like a solid line, It's really hit and miss up there. So I'm trying to track them for you and make sure that you know where these storms are. Now, a look at the forecast model earlier showed that the risk should be passing out of central Minnesota, and that would be the Lake of the Woods County area and whatnot, once we cross into that 10 o'clock time frame tonight. It may not even be that late. We will just have to see. And the farther back these storms form back here, you can see that faint little green line outside of the Grand Forks area. That would be the area where we would expect the potential development of storms. Most areas to the west of that boundary, not going to see storms at all tonight, the way it looks and the way the models looked as well. Val, thank you so much for your comments, your compliments, your help, and your support as always. I'm in Thief River Falls, and it looks nasty north on 59, Mary Lou says. Thank you very much. If you are in Marshall County, Minnesota, and you have a report of what's going on in your area, go ahead and share it right here. Rich says 27 years certified Skywarn person hasn't gone to a class in the last couple of years. Rich, thank you. And you know what? Once you've seen and you know what you're looking for, and you've had a lot of practice looking at storms, then you know what areas in the storm to look for. That rain-free base, any lowering of the cloud base. You know what the difference is between a scary-looking cloud that might look like a funnel or a tornado and one that's actually rotating. So those are the kind of things that are very helpful. National Weather Service does an outstanding job of training many of the counties in our area. We'll have a meeting. You can go to it and learn more and more about severe weather spotting. So we'll keep you apprised of what's going on tonight. An active tornado warning with large hail heading through southern and eastern parts of Roseau County right now. There is a chance that the tornado part of the storm, the rotating part of the storm, could be exiting right now as we speak outside of the warned area. So I just want to let you know, if you are in Lake of the Woods County near Williams and Point South, there is a possibility that a funnel cloud or tornado could happen from this rotating storm. And again, I caution you, this is so far away from the radar. Our data is not very good down below the base of the cloud. We're looking at high levels in the cloud up here. This is so far away from the radar. So we're not able to see the spin that's happening closer to the ground on these storms. And we're relying on experience, and we're relying on the fact that this storm is rotating, trying to give you time to seek the necessary and take the necessary precautions as the storms move through. The sky is continually thundering. Pretty neat. Brianna, thank you for your report. Where are you watching from, Brianna? Let us know in a report here. Thank you, Jeraine. I appreciate your comments there. I like to let people know about the weather. 2 miles south of War Road, it just rained, but most of the clouds were south of us. Laurel, thank you very much. That's what the radar showed. As we look at the War Road area, I'll loop the radar data. You can see the heaviest core of the hail and rain was right here, just south of War Road. So your observation was very helpful, and it confirms what we're seeing on the radar. And in fact, you got the rain here showing up at the cloud level. But remember, what you're seeing here is what the radar is seeing way up high above the ground, because the radar beam's going up at an angle and seeing high in the sky. So if it sees a raindrop over War Road high in the sky, that doesn't mean that raindrop lands on the ground in War Road. It may blow on down the line. Rich, love to see you do a weather class again in the future. The class was awesome. Thank you very kindly. I will absolutely consider that. Maybe it's a scheduled event and we could have Hutch's weather class and we can do something like that sometime down the road. I have been a good close to 20 years of instructing college level meteorology as well. So it's something that I have near and dear to the heart as well. If you take a look here, the storm's continuing to advance eastward toward Grigla in Marshall County, starting to be cloudy in the Dilworth area. Okay. We got a couple of lightning strikes showing up right here from this new cell forming near the Hatton area. So again, this is forming on that boundary that we just showed you, that light faint green boundary. It could form. This will be the best chance of severe storms in North Dakota tonight, will be along this little faint green boundary that you see working its way through the region. So if storms are going to form, they're going to form now. They're forming up north because the temperatures above the ground are a little cooler, allowing that rising bubble of air to keep rising and form some pretty nasty thunderstorms. If anything forms down here, this is where things are really terrible with regards to the energy in the atmosphere. At least a couple of models I showed had some storms forming here as we cross into about the 8 o'clock time frame out in Lakes Country. Totally possible once this boundary moves out in that area. So we'll be watching that. However, there is a battle those storms will face. They may not form at all. if that cap that the rising pocket of air is trying to rise through is too hot, is too strong. Thunderstorms that we can expect, we can have all the ingredients, but sometimes do not form. Let's look at what we have going on right now. Again, these storms very far from the radar. If you're in Grigla, you should be seeking shelter in that interior room. Stay away from windows. A very gusty, windy storm. Hail potential at times is over 1 inch in diameter. Kristen says darker in Morrison, Ontario in the Lake of the Woods area. So yes, and those storms are heading in your general direction across the Lake of the Woods area. And as you look south of Kenora, we even have some pretty stout storms starting to form by the Sioux Narrows and upwind from that area. So that's these puppies right here moving off to the east. So that storm is racing across. You can see it was moving north and now it's turning right. And it's moving right across Lake of the Woods right now. And if you take a look at the big lake, you got the big islands up there. And again, Morrison, where you're at way over here, you can see the darkening skies from this cell right here, moving off to the east. Now, it looked like it was moving northeast at first. Look at that turn it's making. I'm sensing a little turn to be more direct east with the upper level winds. If that's the case, your area could be in the track of that storm. It's moving pretty quickly, though. Look how far it's moved in just a couple of scans. That one's moving closer to 40 plus miles per hour. And as we take a look at that movement of storms, I'll put it this way. We'll put the 40 mile per hour in there because it's really accelerating off to the east now. And, we'll just have to zoom down here and see if it gets close to your area. So Morrison, if we take a look, these are 10-minute intervals, 10, 20, Morrison, I'd say Morrison all the time, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's about an hour away, okay, from you. It might not even be that far. Yeah, it's going to be closer to that hour away from you, probably 40 minutes away from the Morrison area if it continues on, and it looks to be quite strong. In Canada, Environment Canada has a lower threshold for what they call a severe storm. They use a 3/4 inch diameter threshold. 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. In America, it's 2.54 centimeters for the width of severe hail. Still sunny in Nadawash. Thanks for the report. And again, if you do have severe weather to report, appreciate you passing it on right here. It looks like this tornado warned storm is in effect, the tornado warning for the next 6 minutes. Lake of the Woods County, I'm sure there's plenty of people out watching these storms, but Lake of the Woods County, this storm is primarily moving in towards your area in the Williams area. And look at this movement is now kind of pushing it down the Highway 11 corridor and point south of Baudette in the southern Lake of the Woods County, mainly rural areas. Grayson, at this point, I have no confirmed tornadoes. The National Weather Service said they did get a report of a funnel cloud not far from Roseau near Salo when the tornado warning was issued. So Grayson, that's the best I can do for you there. And again, we haven't had a lot of tornado warnings. National Weather Service doing due diligence with that funnel cloud sighting and the rotation they were seeing, issuing a tornado warning for that storm. Just the environment tonight has some spin in it. Look at the storms. Pardon me. They're continuing to form right over the 59 corridor here. So about 3 or 4 cells have moved over the Highway 59 corridor just north of Thief River Falls, and another one is making its way over. Again, these are pretty far away from the radar. I'm not sure if I'm going to get any good data as far as the storm relative velocity. It gets a little high up in the cloud up here. Let me take a look at that one more time. And this is looking for spin in the storm that's not far from Thief River Falls. And there is some weak spin in a couple of different areas. And it is kind of where we're seeing the storms form with that inflow. So it's right here, not far from Holt. This we may be able to see from that fancy Minnesota DOT camera in that area. So we'll take one more look at that because those storms can seem to continue to form just north of Thief River Falls, moving over the Holt area or near Holt. And at one of these storms, we could actually see the evidence of that very heavy rain cell to the north. And now that's gone. So I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing some rain shafts out here, not the big dark skies that we're seeing earlier from that particular cell. That just means what we're seeing off in this direction, which is more northwesterly than it is straight north. The storm itself is more right here, okay? That's where we're seeing that what looks like the possibility for another hail core and possibly some rotation. Get your spelling down, Roger. Morrison, Roseau. Yep, we're going to try. And again, Roseau is under that severe thunderstorm warning. There's a tornado warning, and the tornado warning just canceled. So we'll go ahead and put that up for you. And thank you, Roger. Doing the best I can. And sometimes there's a lot of my spelling stuff. Morrison. All right, thank you very much. All right, here's a look at that radar one more time as we take a look at the warned storm. There's a severe thunderstorm warning that's now remaining in effect for Lake of the Woods County, Williams, and places along and south of the Highway 11 corridor is where the strongest cell is working its way off to the east. Hi, Clarine. Good to have you on board. There are a couple of different cells here. There's one here that's straight south of War Road. That's a little hail core working its way off towards Williams. That is a severe thunderstorm capable of some sizable hail. There's another hail core right here moving southeast. There's another hail core here. Each of these are associated with a strong updraft that's strong enough to support some pretty good sized rocks of ice over an inch in diameter. So that's the main threat from these storms. And again, we're doing the best that we can with the radar views way out there in these areas. It's pretty rural. The storm here has some pink starting to return in it. This one's heading towards Grigla out there in eastern parts of Marshall County, Minnesota. And this one is moving east. It's about 30 miles per hour. So we'll time this out toward the Grigla area one more time. There is some evidence of weak rotation in this storm. And again, 35 miles per hour. We'll put it near Grigla. We'll retime this in about 30 minutes. So about 6:50. You got rain passing your area. It does seem like many of these are forming out there near the Highway 59 corridor and moving over you and then dissipating. See this one dissipating just a little bit. So keeping our eyes on all of this. Very good. Let's see. Okay, very good. I'm just looking at all modes of input and information from folks here. Okay, continued reports of rotation as well earlier tonight with the Roseau County storm. These storms definitely can produce some tornadoes. There is a possibility of that. The good news is we don't have a confirmation of a touchdown. We do have confirmation of some pretty significant sized hail from the storm in southern Roseau County right here. Thief River Falls in the Grigla area probably has the strongest thunderstorm with regard to hail right now on the radar scan, and we're seeing a storm starting to fester up here near the I-29 corridor. That one is moving off to the east toward the I-29 corridor. It's north of Mayville and north of the radar. So that one really just starting to form. We can maybe see a look at that one and the North Dakota Roads Report and take a look at those cameras over here real quick and see if there's going to be thunderstorms that are severe. We're going to look north of the Hillsboro area here from this camera. Take a look at what we're seeing. Okay, so this is kind of an interesting view of what we have going on in the atmosphere. These little cumulus clouds that are trying to form are little rising parcels or pockets of air. As those rising pockets of air cool, they form clouds. When dew points are in the 70s, those clouds don't have to rise too far for them to become cool enough to cause clouds to form. A couple of these clouds are towering up above the rest. They're just starting to bubble up a little bit. And now you can see on this view here, you got this nice flat thunderstorm base. A little more of a tower shape to that one as we look off from the Buxton area across the highway. You're looking probably more towards a westerly view on the south flank of that storm. So that one's starting to boil up, if you will. Now we can go back to our radar and see how high are these clouds reaching. So let's go ahead and take a quick peek at that real quick. So the storm is working its way into the southern reaches of Grand Forks County and northern parts of Trail County. And there you have it. This storm's just starting to fire up. What do the greens and blues mean? Let me show you with my crosshairs. In the areas of green, the storm is just now growing up to be a little thunderstorm, 30,000 feet high. 30,000 feet's pretty high, right? That's cruising altitude for your standard aircraft that we ride from Grand Forks to, say, Minneapolis in. Okay. These lower blue clouds here are about 20,000 feet. This is going to be pretty good estimates too. The radar is pretty close to that storm. The storms that are producing the hail are 55,000 footers or better. So the storms moving towards Grigla, that tells you they're another 20 to 25,000 feet taller than the storm that's in the Buxton area. The storm that's up in Roseau County crossing into the Lake of the Woods County, 55 to 56,000 feet high as estimated by Doppler radar. That shows up beautifully on visible satellite image. Look at that. Do you see that? And now, because the sun is getting a little lower in the western sky, we're starting to see some shadows. And you see the shadow right around that little pimple right there on the top? That's an updraft. That pimple's called an overshooting top. That is the center of the updraft from that storm moving through Roseau County and crossing into Lake of the Woods County. That one has a history of over 1-inch diameter hail and funnel clouds. Now, these storms here in eastern Marshall County, you can see them bolstering up here. They're making what we call the top of an anvil. That's this big anvil shape. That's those high clouds you see billowing out from the underside that have the mammatus, lumpy, bumpy clouds underneath them. Look how huge these clusters of thunderstorms are making. And here are the new ones that are starting to form along this same boundary, not far from you folks in north of Hillsboro and Hatton, and not far from Thompson on the North Dakota side of the river. So that's where things are firing ahead of a cool front right now in the hot, juicy air. This is the area all the way down here that has the most unstable, ridiculously spinny air in our area tonight. If any storms form down here, including Lakes Country, Otter Tail, Becker County, if they form, they're in an environment where we could quickly see things go south or in a bad way pretty quickly. But right now, we have a cap. The air above these rising parcels of air is hot. So a hot air parcel running into another parcel of hot air says, I don't need to rise anymore. I'm going to sit right here and be happy. So continue sitting and being happy, thunderstorm updrafts, because we don't need what you got going on for tonight. All right, there is a look at your active warnings right now. We'll take one more quick peek. We do have some significant hail right here out of this storm cell that's moving into the northern region of Lake of the Woods County. New thunderstorm warning. I'll get you the information on that, and then I'm going to go away for a little bit. If you have reports, please share them right here. I'm looking at your hello, Hutch, just got here. Are we expecting much for Fargo? Rex, there's a chance in Fargo. Who will we call about all these mosquitoes after all this? Hutch, Rich, I know somebody who you can call. Whether you're here and in Lakes Country, I have a friend. And my friends are here at Precision Lawn and Landscaping. So if it's wet, you can call them and they can help you with mosquitoes. Give them a call in the Fargo area, Park Rapids. They service the dock areas and Detroit Lakes, Fargo as well, and your yard. So keep that in mind. New thunderstorm warning, Lake of the Woods County for $0.5 sized hail and 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts from the storms. Keep in mind that we could have some localized areas that get even higher wind gusts, because when we get these collapsing thunderstorm downdrafts, they can cause a localized area of very high winds. So this warning expires in 41 minutes. That's going to put us right up close to that 7 o'clock time frame. And again, hail the main threat. Nope, you're not out of the woods, Tammy. Fergus Falls, you're not out of the woods. The good news is thunderstorms are having a hard time forming there. The bad news is if they do form, they could get out of hand pretty quickly because of all that humid, sticky air that you do have. Your risk does not exit your area until this line that you see right here. If I could draw an imaginary line, oh heck, let's not make it imaginary, let's make it real. Here's the line of thunderstorm development now. This side here is okie dokie, so I'm going to put a big old okay over there. You're okay in the Devil's Lake Basin. Your risk of severe weather there is kaput. But anywhere from this line right here down to the south and east, the threat is there. Not everybody's going to see storms. And in fact, many of us down here may not see anything if this cap that I've been talking about doesn't break. That means that the rising bubbles of air that are forming are having a hard time continuing to form. Once this line passes your area in Fergus Falls, it'll be later, then your risk will drop down. Let's take a look at the latest model together, then Hutch is going to take a break. So we have severe thunderstorms moving through Lake of the Woods County, the southern part of the county. On Lake of the Woods, we have a severe thunderstorm that's working its way across the waters right now. Notice how the storm says it's moving this way, but the radar data is telling Hutch it's moving more in an easterly trend. In fact, if we watch the Lupa radar data, it started going up north, but it's mainly moving more in an easterly direction. So you were asking, if you're watching from areas on the eastern edges of Lake of the Woods, Nestor Falls, in this area, Morrison, these areas are in the path of that storm. So you can watch by the 621 sign right here. Storms probably get across just to the north of you, but not by much. hail is going to be the main threat of that particular storm as well. Okay, let's take a quick look at our our forecast model. To do that, I'm pulling up a convection allowing model. We're going to look at one model. We're going to take a look at it real quickly so you can time things out. And then I'm going to turn on the clock up here so you can see the clock. Here we go, everybody. Join me in watching a look at the forecast model, and let's take a look at what's going on with these storms and see if this model is out to lunch or if it's good. Okay, I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to bring it back to the beginning. Look at the time. It is now 6:37. Do we have storms up here? Yes. But what about the storms up here? This model's not showing those too well. So this particular model does, well, there they show up, but it didn't show them up until around 7 o'clock. It's going to be pretty close to having those storms exiting the Lake of the Woods area at 7 o'clock, though. So I'm not going to throw this model out with the bathwater. It's showing continued strong storms all the way in a line where we're seeing the ones form near Hatton and on out towards Valley City as we go through the 7 o'clock hour. Then they move down and south and east, and it looks like this model has some of those storms diminishing a little bit. So that's the risk there. If we go back a little bit, look what's going on in Minneapolis. Some ridiculous storm strength in that area could fester up through the Twin Cities and into portions of Wisconsin. This is way different than any model run I've seen all day long. I've not seen a model do this. Look at Wisconsin. We don't need any rain. We have collapsing dams in the Mankato area, failing dams. We have failing bridges in the Sioux Falls area, in Sioux City, Iowa area, a lot of rising water, a lot of flood warnings there. We don't want the rain down here. And we don't want this for Wisconsin either. This looks like a windy, terrible line of windy thunderstorms going through in the overnight hours. That's model 1. Let's turn a look. This is the high resolution model, just for those of you keeping track, HRRR. Now let's take a look at a North American model here. This one just updated recently. We'll go ahead and pop a look at this one. Let it roll in, and we'll see how much alike it is and see if it looks better. To me, I like the looks at the start of this model as we go through 6 o'clock. It has storms here in Canada, has a few down here in Roseau County, Lake of the Woods County, has a couple down near Valley City in the Hatton area, and now we sneak this one future in time. Look at the Red Lakes area. That looks like something that I'd believe in. Then it has storms forming down here south of Otter Tail County. Notice Grant, notice Douglas County. You're not in that watch, but I know why. We're watching that area down there for a higher risk of tornadoes tonight. So keep that in mind. There may be a tornado watched for all this nonsense later tonight. And depending on this more linear stuff that's going on up here, we'll keep our eyes on that. This time frame, if you look at the timestamp, 9 o'clock at night, most of central Minnesota is done. Bemidji, Black Duck is still seeing a few thunderstorms. Those exit. By the time we get to the 11 o'clock hour, it looks like most of our area can rest easy. And look at the Minneapolis area as we go out in a full zoom area. The area under concern for flooding is, wow, look at that. And a windy storm signature this is moving into the late night hour. I do like this model a little bit better simply because of how it's starting out and because it's more in line with what we're seeing on the radar, and that's how we do meteorology. Now it's time for the 16 camera stream. It shows cams from Moorhead to Prescott. You can get that link right there from my friend Rich. Thank you for putting together your network. It's good. Follow the link if you want to watch a couple of these storms across Minnesota as we go through the night. And indeed, Janae, if I'm pronouncing your name right, in Mankato, there's some terrible, terrible, terrible things going on south of town there. There is a flood warning, flash flooding, and dam failure going on. So as we go into the area south, where is it here? I'm sorry. Okay, so down near Mankato here, we have an area south of town where we have just a dam failure going on, and it's all down in this neck of the woods here. So terrible, terrible conditions going on in Sioux Falls and Sioux City as well. So all of these areas, we have terrible flooding ongoing, failing dams, and we don't need this to transpire. But I'm afraid if storms do begin to develop like the models show in and around Fergus Falls and points south, that they could be in for a very, very long night. What time could the storms be in or near Fargo? Let's go back, zoom this out. You're okay, Rex. It's okay to ask questions. I'll pop this back in time. If we're going to see storms form in Fargo, this has them moving through in and around the 7 to 9 time frame. Notice that that's when some activity starts forming not far from Lake Traverse area and pushing into southwest parts of Minnesota, where we have numerous areas of flood warnings and flash flood warnings. So that's a look. Janae, thanks. I'm glad I pronounced your name right. Hutch can do. I have trouble with that. I was a whole lot gooder at math and science than English and grammar, if you can believe that. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue for northwest Minnesota, Lake of the Woods County, northern portions of Beltrami County, particularly the northwest corner. I'll turn the radar on now and turn off the forecast map. And you can see we still have 1 to 2 inch diameter hail potential from these cells that are sneaking into rural parts of southern Lake of the Woods County. A few communities that may be in the path of the storm as we zoom in just a little bit closer is basically going to be rural. Let me put this on and move this off to the south and east. We're moving it at about 40 miles per hour here. Calculate a couple of spots, and it's not pulling up any cities on my mapping software. Very rural out there. If these storms approach, they could be severe. There has been some spin in these storms. These storms are moving in the general direction of you folks in Grigla with a hail core that's producing 1 inch diameter hail and 60 mile per hour wind potential. A little bit of spin in this storm down here in southern parts of Marshall County. A funnel cloud and some sizable hail over 1 inch in diameter have been reported up in the areas of Roseau County tonight. So heed the warning, seek shelter. I'll be back with an update. We're monitoring the development of the cell here not far from the Buxton area, moving through Reynolds right now. We just showed you this one's we'll call it a junior cell, just starting to form. The updraft has that cloud top rising to around 30,000 feet. Those big storms in northwest Minnesota are over 50,000 feet high and much more powerful. I'll keep you updated right here on Hutch's Weather. Thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned right